There's a number growing in the shadows of the American economy. It doesn't sleep, it doesn't negotiate. And every second you've been alive today, it's grown by another $2 million. $38 trillion. That's not the national debt anymore. That's the fuse on a bomb no one knows how to defuse. To understand how we got here, you have to go back to when the rules changed forever. September 2008, Lehman Brothers collapses. The financial system is hours from total meltdown. The government makes a choice: borrow or let it burn. They borrowed. $800 billion in bailouts, then more again. The debt was $10 trillion when the crisis hit. Within 4 years, it was 16. But that was just the beginning. Because once you cross that line, once you prove the money printer works, you never go back. The 2008 crisis taught the world a dangerous lesson. Debt doesn't matter until it does. So we kept borrowing. For wars that never ended. For stimulus packages that became tradition. For tax cuts paid with money we didn't have. Every politician promised to fix it tomorrow. Tomorrow never came. Then 2020 arrived. The pandemic. The economy stops breathing. More stimulus. More checks. More zeros added to the balance sheet. $5 trillion materialized in 2 years. Not because we earned it. Because we willed it into existence. The debt crossed 30 trillion like a car blowing through a red light at midnight. No one was watching anymore. And now? 38 trillion. Growing by 2 trillion every single year. We're not borrowing for emergencies anymore. We're borrowing to pay the interest on money we already borrowed. It's a pyramid scheme, except the ones holding the bag are your children. Let me put 38 trillion into perspective. If you spent $1 million every single day since Jesus Christ was born, you still wouldn't have spent 38 trillion. It's more than the combined GDP of China, Japan, Germany, and India. It's $113,000 for every person in America. Newborns included. But here's what makes it terrifying. It's not just the size, it's the speed. The US took 204 years to accumulate its first trillion in debt. The last trillion? 6 months. We've normalized the emergency. We've weaponized the credit card. And the bill is compounding every second. History has seen this before. The Roman Empire debased its currency to fund endless wars. They kept minting coins with less and less silver until the money became worthless. The empire didn't fall to invaders first. It collapsed from within. Britain owned a quarter of the world in 1914. 50 years later, they were begging the IMF for loans. Empires don't announce their decline. They borrow their way into it. The Federal Reserve says they have it under control. They can raise rates to cool inflation, lower them to spark growth. Walk the tightrope forever, but the tightrope is fraying. Because when your debt is larger than your entire economy, every choice becomes a trap. Raise rates? The government's interest payments explode. Lower them? Inflation devours savings. Do nothing? The debt keeps growing. Right now, the United States pays more than $1 trillion a year just in interest, not paying down the debt. Just servicing it, that's more than we spend on defense. More than Medicare. We're paying interest on debt we took to pay interest on older debt. It's a financial black hole, and we're circling the event horizon. And here's the part no one wants to say out loud. This only works as long as the world believes in the dollar. As long as other countries keep buying our treasury bonds. As long as the global reserve currency stays ours. But that faith is cracking. China and Russia are trading in yuan and rubles. Saudi Arabia is discussing oil sales in currencies that aren't dollars. The BRICS nations are building an alternative. What happens when the world stops lending to the world's biggest borrower? There's a moment coming that few are prepared for. It's not a stock market crash or a bank failure. It's quieter. More surgical. It's the moment when the math stops working. When the interest we owe exceeds the revenue we collect. That's not a distant possibility. We're approaching it now. Within a decade, maybe less, the US government could be spending more on interest than it brings in from all your taxes combined. When that happens, 3 paths emerge. None of them are good. Path 1. Austerity. Slash spending. Cut Social Security, Medicare, defense, everything. But no politician wins an election by taking away benefits. So this path exists only in theory. Path 2. Raise taxes to unprecedented levels. Take 50, 60, 70% from the top, but capital is mobile. It leaves, and the middle class gets crushed. This path ends in stagnation. Path 3. Print. Monetize the debt. Have the Federal Reserve buy bonds with manufactured money. It's the easiest path, the most tempting, and the most destructive. Because when you print your way out of debt, you don't escape it. You inflate it into everyone's savings, groceries, rent. You destroy the currency from the inside. History tells us which path gets chosen. It's always path 3. Weimar Germany, Zimbabwe, Venezuela. They all promised it would be different. It never is. Inflation is how democracies default. They don't announce it. They dilute it. Your dollar doesn't disappear. It just buys less every year until your entire life savings fits in a grocery bag, and the world is watching. The dollar is trusted because America has been stable, strong, predictable. But 38 trillion whispers a different story. It whispers fragility, desperation, decline. When the world loses faith, they stop buying the debt. Interest rates spike, the spiral accelerates, and the bomb that's been ticking for decades finally reaches zero. So what do you do when the system is rigged against time itself? You stop pretending it's someone else's problem. This isn't abstract. It's not just charts and politicians. It's the reason your rent keeps rising. Why wages feel frozen while prices explode. Why retirement feels impossible. The debt is invisible, but its gravity pulls on everything. Protect yourself. Understand that cash loses value when governments need it to. Learn what holds worth when paper doesn't. Build skills, own assets, create value that can't be printed away. The people who survive financial collapses aren't the ones who hoped it wouldn't happen. They're the ones who prepared when no one else believed it could, and demand more. Not from politicians who profit from the lie, but from yourself. Know the numbers. Ask the questions. Refuse to accept that endless borrowing is normal. Because the moment we stop pretending this is sustainable is the moment we might actually do something about it. The $38 trillion bomb won't explode someday. It already has. Quietly, inside your wallet. Every single day. The question isn't whether you'll feel it. The question is whether you'll understand it before it's too late.